Hi, I am Dani, and I am so glad that you are here. So today I would like to talk about Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural. I love Joe Dispenza. I have read, I think, all of his books, and there have been several. And this latest one, Becoming Supernatural, he really kind of puts a lot of the things that he has been talking about together, and he uses so much science to prove his point, which I really like. Some people are more into the science part of it than I am. I will read and know just enough to convince myself and say, okay, I get this and it feels true to me. And so this is a concept that I can use to try to make life better or try to improve myself. And so that's generally enough for me, but it helps so much. So this book is so good that I bought the book, the physical book, and read either all of it or some of it, most of it, I don't know, but it was a little while back. And then I went through a major purge and I got rid of most of my books. And I didn't realize that I had read this book before, and then I ordered it on Audible. And so I got the audio version, and I have been listening to it, and I'm like, okay, number one, I remember so much of this material that I have heard before that I know it. But now I'm like, it's the kind of material that you need to highlight and write down and everything because it's so dense. This is a long book. It's a substantial book. And literally I could do a 20-minute video on every 2 minutes of stuff that he says. It's just so dense and it's so packed in there, and he does so much neuroscience, which I'm not even going to try to get into. I'm just going to give you a nugget or two that has maybe just one big one today that has really helped me. I have been on and off again with meditation for years. I didn't meditate at all, never had before, and I was in life coach training, and we teamed up with partners in training where we could do the exercises on each other and practice our skills, right? So I had a woman, and she was amazing, and she had been on a 10-day meditation retreat and told me about it, and about the method, Vipassana Meditation. And I was like, oh, I have to do this. I have to do this. And I found myself in between jobs and at a transitional point. So I just did it. I had never meditated before, you guys. I had never meditated. And I went to a 10-day silent meditation retreat where we were literally meditating, I don't know, around 14 hours or so a day. We would take an hour for breakfast, we'd take an hour or so for lunch and in the afternoon, and then most of the rest of the time we were literally meditating. And so it was very transformative. Since then, I've had on again, off again relationship with meditation. I know it works. I know I'm better when I do it, but I don't always do it. I have not. It just has not solidified. It was 2013, I think, when I did the retreat itself. Maybe very early 2014, doesn't matter. It's 2020 now. So for 6 years, I've been on and off. I'm reading Joe Dispenza's book, I'm listening to his book, and he talks about meditation and how important it is and why it's important. And he explains it from the perspective of the brain and connections in the brain, and how I'm going to give you the layman's overview. Not even right. This is the little inferences that I have made reading, and I put together this story based on what I thought I read. So don't take this as law or anything. Do yourself a favor, grab this book. It's amazing. If you're interested in this kind of thing, and if you really want to dig in, then I would recommend this book. So, but he talks about how, we go through our day and we see the same people, we have the same interactions. So much of our time is repetitive. We're with the same people, we're doing the same things, we see the same things, we're in the same environment, all of that. And what happens is we think that life never changes because all this stuff looks the same. Well, really, we are constantly in a pattern of taking our past and recreating it and creating it and putting it into our future, right? So it's not that nothing ever changes. It just is that all our inputs stay the same, so the outputs stay the same as well. We just stay in these conditioned ways of being, right? Which I talk about a lot, I know, but it's the bane of my existence. So there we go. Anyone else with me on that? So what makes it even worse is if you're someone like me, maybe some people are in jobs that they really like, they're in great relationships, they're, their life, they're like, if my life would go on this trajectory, I would be thrilled. No, I'm not in that place. So if you're in a place where you want to make some changes and shake things up, then it's even harder if you're so ingrained in this life and at the same time you're in stress. And so many of us are in a constant state of like chronic stress. So before, think of evolution, and when you would go into fight or flight, it was probably because there was a predator, it was because there was danger present. Your body would get all keyed up and give you all these, stress hormones and everything, focus in your physical reality, and give you what you needed to get through to fight or flight or flee or whatever it was. Now, our brains don't know the difference in, I'm stressed about a confrontation with my lover, I'm worried about going into the Monday morning meeting, not having my sales numbers up, I'm all these regular life stresses. There's no difference to the brain. It's sending these same responses that we have, that we've always had, that are part of our biology, that are part of our evolution, right? And so we end up like in this constant state of stress. And so all of these signals, all of these ways of being, all of these ways of reacting, they're so tied together. The neural pathways are so well worn. The bonds between the atoms and these experiences and the emotions that go with them are all repeating themselves. We're addicted to the stress hormones because it's comfortable, because it's where we are all the time. So even when we don't feel it, we are automatically kind of going back, reaching for it. And you know what I mean? Like I can feel myself doing that. Tell me if you can too. You just feel yourself reaching back for those old patterns when you know they're no good for you, but there's a certain amount of comfort in it anyway. I have the same thing with food. Okay, so I'm not alone with that one either, I don't think. Anyway, I got off track. I won't go down that rabbit trail. We're talking about, what are we talking about? Meditation. We're talking about patterns. So this stress response leaves so little room because you're kind of in a survival mode all the time. And you're locked into these ways of being, and you have so little energy left at the end of the day for any kind of internal or introspective work, anything that's going to take you out of this life, this external driven, reaction driven, stress driven way of being, right? Meditation gives us the space to allow those bonds and those emotions and activities and reactions. We separate from our environment and who we are and who we love and who we're stressed at. When we can separate our mind from that for just a little while every day or whenever we can, we give it a chance just to loosen up a little bit. We give all those well-worn pathways just a chance, just a couple of those atoms, a couple of those atoms that are wired together, a couple of those neural connections that are wired together. We just give them a chance to separate, a chance to not be completely, their strength be reinforced, which is generally what we're doing every day when we go through the same routines, the same patterns, see the same people, do the same things. During meditation, we're just pulling away for a few minutes and giving a little bit of separation. We have to have just a little bit of space, because if all we're paying attention to is all the stuff that's already in our lives, then what do you think we're going to keep creating? We're going to keep creating more of the same. So if we want to create something new, we have to create the space to do it. And it's biological as well as just emotional and physical but it literally is biological. And it's so powerful. And I know I do better when I'm meditating than when I'm not. And at this point, I've been meditating maybe 4 times a week. But it's part of my practice with work, so that is tied into the days when I'm working my regular job. So it's kind of tied in there, and I have time to do it. But when I'm on my own and I'm not in that structure, then I'm not doing it. So I am making the commitment to put meditation back in the schedule. If you guys have watched some of the other videos, you know that I'm really working on not only having this surrender and this flow and following intuition, but at the same time having discipline, doing the work, putting in the schedule, doing it no matter what, doing it no matter whether I feel like it or not. So another commercial for meditation, as if any of us need one. But every once in a while, don't you come across something where you're like, yeah, I knew that, but it doesn't hurt to be reminded. Meditation, so important. Just give yourself a little bit of space. Now I'm looking forward to kind of going in and doing it. But what I was noticing is when I went in, I was like, oh, I haven't really focused on this for a while. And even some of the meditation I have been doing has been kind of half-assed. It's been kind of like hit or miss, or really going down with those thoughts too much. Because another form of meditation I have done in the past is allowing the mind to go to all those thoughts and feelings, thinking that the thinking behind that type of meditation was it will run its course, and if you allow it to come up and to feel it, it will pass. It didn't work all that great for me, because Joe Dispenza has more of the traditional where if a thought comes in, you release it and come back to the present moment. If a thought comes in, you release it and come back to the present moment. And I realized I'm really crappy at doing that right now. My brain is out of practice. And it is very hard. And as soon as I sit down, almost constantly, my brain is just out. And I redirect. And it can be exhausting. But I know at the end of the day, it's worth it. I'm going to keep at it. Tell me if you meditate. Tell me what kind of meditation you do. And tell me what it does for you. Tell me if you want to start. I've even thought about doing like a little meditation group or something. It's something that I've done in the past. When I was doing more coaching, I would have just groups of people who wanted to meditate. So we would kind of get together on the daily or on the weekly and talk about our experiences in meditation, what was coming up for us and things like that. And it's good sometimes to have some accountability. If I've gone through periods in my life where I'm super motivated and I'm super on it. And then there are other periods where I need the support. I really could use having someone else or a few other people in a group where we're like, yes, I did it. And I'm going to have to go to that group tomorrow, and I can't face them not being able to tell them that I did it and I put in my time. So anyway, if you're interested in anything like that, let me know. And I think that's it for today. But thank you so much for being here. If you like this video, then please like it. And if you love it, then subscribe and hit the little bell. And if you know someone who you think might love it, then please share. And I will put some stuff in the description below. I'm going to put my other kind of talk about Joe Dispenza, and maybe a couple of the other books that I've read about maybe mindfulness or about how the brain works or something that are related. I'll put those links in the description if you're interested in this kind of topic. And I have a whole playlist that's on books that are changing my life, books that are transformative and really powerful. So way enough for today. Okay, have a wonderful day. Thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Talk to you, well, soon.